if one includes the litigation cost, the tax bill, and 2 opinions that had been obtained subsequent to the judgment of the Constitutional Court handed down, then the total bill in the absolute litigation came to 14,537,728 rand and 26 cents. To do that.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I'm sorry to interrupt. Advocate Bauer indicated that she'd come back with a breakdown next. And I wonder if we could just get, as part of that breakdown, a breakdown of which firms of attorneys and which advocates benefited in each case to that extent, because there may be some questions around that. Thank you, Chair.
But that's not the evidence of other people who came before you.
That's their evidence.
It's not their evidence. Their evidence is that money was taken from other programs to legal services without even asking for treasury requirements and permissions. But anyway, my next question, Chair, is
no, not anyway. Chairperson.
Just pause, Honorable Ngosi, Advocate Mpofu.
Yes, Chairperson, it's the same issue that I'm raising. We must all refrain from misleading the witness. Who is this person who said money was taken from one budget center or cost center and put to another? There's no such person in this inquiry. So please, let's not mislead the witness. Ask questions and you can put them as biased as you like, but don't mislead the witnesses. Thank you.
The Advocate Mpofu, Honorable Ngosi.
Chairperson, it was Mr. Samuels.
And over to you.
But yeah, it was Mr. Samuels. But Chairperson,
Mr. Samuels didn't say anything like that.
No, Advocate Mpofu, please don't do that.
Okay, Chair. But it's not.
Thank you.
It's
yeah, can I be protected, man, from this onslaught?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I have no problem with the request. I think we must just be careful by saying which firms and advocates benefited, as if they didn't do any work.
Yeah.
I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
Secondly, if I can just, before we get into the evidence, I wanted to understand that the first sheet in the spreadsheet, that those matters were reports that were done under Advocate Madonsela, completed by Advocate Madonsela, but the litigation was concluded and run after her term of office ended. Is that correct? Or are some of those matters that started with Advocate Madonsela's term and completed with Advocate Mkhwebane? I just want to see if it's clearly Advocate Madonsela's term's work that has been challenged.
So the litigation all, or for the most part, commenced during Advocate Madonsela's term and was pending at the time, and Advocate Mkhwebane came in. I think in one instance it may very well have been a judgment that still had to be handed down in doing that. So one finds that that is there. Where the end date of the judgment falls post-October, and it related to a cost implication that may very well have fallen into Advocate Mkhwebane's term. What I'd like to put is a globular figure to the committee of these were cases that had commenced during the period of Advocate Madonsela, but the costs were incurred out of the 148 million rand budget of Advocate Mkhwebane. If you understand what I'm saying.
I think I understand you. I just want to be clear that the report would also have been Advocate Madonsela's terms report.
That's correct. From what I can understand and see, there are only 2 or 3 reports of Advocate Madonsela's term that had been set aside during the period of Advocate Mkhwebane.
Okay, thank you, Advocate Bauer. Thank you, Mr. Heron. Also, maybe.
Before we go on with this, particularly in relation to the issue, and want to thank Honorable Heron for that intervention. I just want to put certain things on the record here. One is that this evidence already, I think, is skirting on invading people's privacy unnecessarily, and I think maybe it should be confined to those who are targeted, so to speak. So, like some of us, we don't mind the information being put up there, but I think that people who have rendered professional.
Okay, just pause. Mr. Sithole, can you, in the meantime, just mute, Mr. Sithole? Just mute in the meantime.
He's muted now.
There was an echo. Can you continue, because we're trying to address an echo? Continue, Advocate Mpofu.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yeah. Well, I'm saying that I'm saying two things. One is that there seems to be some zeal to invade people's financial and personal issues, particularly some of the professionals whose names have been listed. So, for example, if it is said that there was, I can't remember the figure now, 14 million or whatever it is, on the CX, then someone is going to then go and look at, then it was Advocate Smith or whatever who did that matter. And then according to the narrative that is now being peddled, that person, quote unquote, benefited. And it's wrong for two reasons. One, because it's there's no, apart from sensationalism, there's no value to be derived from it by this committee, unless if one is going to drill down into what happened in a particular case, and was there an appeal, was there no appeal. To just flight numbers like this is really can only be directed at the appetite of those who just want sensationalism. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this entire thing is actually unwarranted, because the charge that Ms. Bauer spoke about, which relates to so-called expenditure in legal affairs, did not even, there was no prima facie evidence of that according to the independent panel. I know that I've raised that at a broader level, but I'm raising it now specifically to show that you're just invading people's privacy for no gain at all, because this is completely not relevant to any charge that is before you. And the only matter in respect of which there was any reference to that charge was the GEMS matter, which has not even been dealt with here. So that's the point. I'm just simply saying that if it is found, which I'm sure it will be at some stage, that you have to deal with the matter according to the independent panel report's findings, then all this will just be completely, as I say, an unwarranted, completely unwarranted invasion, because you won't be able to undo the damage that you might have done to innocent people and professionals who would have rendered their services. As I say, I mean, and those who can't speak for themselves, those who are here like me can volunteer to say you can reveal whatever you want to reveal. But other people who really, all they did was simply to render a service for a client, and now are going to be told that they benefited 14 million or whatever total amounts, which is also a lie, because and as I say, until somebody can break it down into its constituent parts, there's a difference between a case that ends up in the magistrate court and one that goes right up to the constitutional court. But all those details are not dealt with in this sensationalist way of dealing with this matter. So I'm really saying, Chairperson, that I know Parliament is immune and all that, but it doesn't mean that power must be abused or that people's rights who must be abused by being associated with something that, as I say, completely has nothing to do with the work of this committee. Because A, it's irrelevant, but B, the harm far exceeds, the potential harm to others far exceeds any gain. Well, that's easy because the gain is zero in the sense that this has nothing to do with the work that you have to deal with. How you handle it going forward is up to you, Chair, but we just don't want to be seen to be playing along with this complete invasion and of people's privacy, which is in vain, totally in vain here. And it has started already by the kind of language which, thank you, Chair, you have at least assisted in intervening to deal with. And we know where it's all going, but some people can take it and others can't. And those of us who are here can take it, but others might not be and shouldn't be put through that actually. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
You can only do that to hardened horses like us. Not
We are Gala.
Sorry,
Advocate Bauer. And
no, we can take it.
Honorable Ngol.